Okay, this is problem number 7, and we are asked to integrate the absolute value of cosine x from 0 to 5 pi over 6. And I have gone ahead and I've drawn both the cosine curve, and the red one down here is the absolute value of cosine x. So if you take note, wherever the cosine is negative, in the absolute value curve, it is the reflection over the x-axis. So in order to, our answer is not going to be adding up any negative values. So we need to compensate that and think about it, since we're not allowed to use our calculators on this. So the first part of our curve, the area in here between 0 and pi over 2, well, that's doesn't have any trouble because it's on both curves, it's just above the x-axis. So I can go ahead and I can set that up from 0 to pi over 2. I can just integrate cosine x dx. But now I have to be concerned, because if I was just going to go from 0 to 5 pi over 6 without any thinking about the fact that this is negative area in here, whereas we are looking for the positive area or its opposite signs, right, in the absolute value graph. So in order to get the opposite signs, if I just take and I subtract off the integral from pi over 2 to 5 pi over 6 of the cosine x dx, this value in here is going to be some negative number. And if I subtract a negative number, I'm going to create some positive value. So the integral of cosine x is a positive sine x from 0 to pi over 2 minus sine x from pi over 2 to 5 pi over 6. Okay. Be very careful with these numbers. Okay. The sine of pi over 2, well, the sine curve at pi over 2, it's 1, or if you need to think about it on the unit circle, pi over 2 is at 90 degrees. That's the coordinate 0 to 1. So the sine at pi over 2 is 1. The sine at 0 is 0. Sine is the y value on the unit circle. So 1 minus 0 minus the sine at 5 pi over 6. That's over here on the unit circle, and that's equivalent to 150 degrees, which means I have a 30-degree reference angle. Sine is the y. This is going to be a half. So minus a half minus, we already figured out that the sine at pi over 2 is 1. Okay, so first 1 minus 0 is 1 minus a negative a half, and as I indicated up here, this value should be a negative number, and it is, so that's a good thing. 1 minus a negative a half is 1 plus a half, so 1.5 or 1.5.